Happiness is one of humanity's greatest pursuits, yet it remains elusive for many. Some people accumulate wealth, power, and fame, yet still feel empty inside, while others, with little material possessions, seem to radiate joy effortlessly. Why is this the case? Is happiness something external that we must chase? Or is it an inner state that we must cultivate? Throughout history, philosophers, sages, and poets have explored this question, offering insights drawn from nature, ancient wisdom, and human experience. From the fleeting beauty of peach blossoms to the enduring strength of pine trees, from the story of those who lose themselves by blindly following others, to the wisdom of contentment and inner peace. These lessons provide timeless guidance on what it truly means to be happy. In this dialogue, we will delve into the nature of happiness and joy, uncovering the reasons behind human suffering and exploring how we can cultivate a deep, lasting sense of fulfillment in our lives.
Wise one, I have been pondering what exactly are happiness and joy. Why is it that some people, despite being wealthy, remain unhappy, while others, though poor, seem to be filled with laughter?
This question has troubled countless people for thousands of years. The ancient Chinese had a saying, "Contentment brings lasting joy." Happiness is not the accumulation of external possessions, but rather an inner state of fulfillment. Have you ever seen peach blossoms in the spring?
Of course I have.
When peach blossoms bloom, they are breathtakingly beautiful. Yet, no matter how vibrant, peach blossoms wither quickly. Their beauty lasts only for a fleeting moment. People often chase external pleasures, much like admiring the brilliance of peach blossoms, while ignoring the evergreen resilience of pine and cypress trees. True happiness is not found in fleeting pleasures, but in inner tranquility and lasting contentment.
Then what is the difference between joy and happiness?
Joy is often temporary, like taking a bite of delicious food or watching an entertaining performance. These bring brief moments of pleasure. But happiness is a deeper sense of fulfillment that stems from inner peace. As the saying goes, the benevolent find joy in mountains, while the wise find joy in water. The benevolent admire the stability of mountains, while the wise appreciate the flowing nature of water. Joy often depends on external stimuli, while happiness comes from cultivating inner wisdom.
I see now joy is external, but happiness comes from within. But why is it that some people, despite having great wealth and fame, are still not happy?
There are several reasons why people remain unhappy despite having everything they once desired. 1. The endless chase for more. Many people believe that happiness is found in acquiring more wealth, more status, more achievements. But this mindset is like trying to fill a bottomless jar with water. It will never be full. There is an ancient saying, "A person who is not content, even in a palace, will feel like they are in a prison." The more we chase, the more we suffer. When people attain what they once longed for, they soon grow dissatisfied and seek the next thing. They forget that happiness is not in external accumulation, but in inner peace.
Is this why some wealthy people seem restless, always pursuing the next goal?
Exactly. Like someone endlessly climbing a ladder. They believe happiness is at the top, only to find that there is always another step to climb. Instead of enjoying where they are trapped in an endless cycle of desire.
But isn't ambition necessary for growth? If we don't strive for more, wouldn't we become stagnant?
Ambition is not the problem. Attachment to ambition is. Imagine a man who sets out to climb the highest mountain, believing that when he reaches the peak, he will finally feel fulfilled. Along the way, he pushes himself harder and harder, ignoring the beauty of the forests, the melody of the birds, and the kindness of the fellow travelers he meets. His only thought is to reach the summit. Finally, after years of struggle, he stands at the peak, but instead of joy, he feels an unexpected emptiness. He sees another, even taller mountain in the distance. He realizes that his climb has not ended, only shifted to another goal.
So he never actually enjoys the journey?
Exactly. Many people live like this. They believe that happiness lies in the next promotion, the next achievement, the next purchase. But every time they reach a milestone, the feeling of satisfaction fades quickly, replaced by the desire for something more. They are never truly content, always chasing an illusion.
That reminds me of a farmer I once knew. He worked tirelessly to expand his land, always saying, just a little more, and I will finally rest. But each time he acquired more fields, he found new reasons to keep working. He never stopped to enjoy the harvest.
That is the tragedy of endless desire. It blinds people to the present. The great philosopher Laozi said, "He who knows he has enough is rich." True fulfillment does not come from having more, but from appreciating what you already have.
But what if someone truly has very little? If they are poor, isn't it natural for them to want more?
There is a difference between seeking improvement and being enslaved by desire. A person who seeks to improve their life while being grateful for what they already have is different from one who is always dissatisfied, no matter how much they gain. Have you heard the story of the fisherman and the businessman?
No, please tell me.
One day, a wealthy businessman visited a small coastal village and saw a fisherman lying under a tree, peacefully resting. The businessman asked, "Why are you resting? Why don't you fish more?" The fisherman replied, "I have already caught enough fish for today." The businessman scoffed, "But if you fish more, you can sell the extra fish, earn more money, and buy a bigger boat." The fisherman asked, "And then what?" The businessman replied, "With a bigger boat, you can catch even more fish, build a fleet, and become rich." The fisherman smiled and asked again, "And then what?" The businessman, excited, said, "Then you can retire, relax, and enjoy life by the sea." The fisherman chuckled and said, "But that is exactly what I am doing now."
So the fisherman already had the happiness that the businessman was chasing.
Precisely. The businessman believed that happiness could only come after years of struggle, while the fisherman understood that happiness is found in appreciating the present.
But doesn't that mean we should stop striving for success?
Not at all. The key is balance. It is good to have goals and ambitions, but they should not consume your life. You must ask yourself, am I climbing the ladder because I truly desire growth? Or am I climbing because I think happiness is waiting at the top?
So if someone is always looking ahead, thinking the next step will bring happiness, they will never truly be happy.
Exactly. If you are always looking at the next peak, you miss the beauty of the valley where you stand. Ambition should be like a river. It should flow naturally, not forcefully.
Then how do we know when to climb and when to be content?
The answer lies within. If your pursuit is driven by fear of being left behind, by comparison with others, or by the belief that you are incomplete without achieving more, then you are climbing the endless ladder of desire. But if your pursuit comes from passion, growth, and a deep appreciation for life itself, then you are walking a meaningful path.
I think I understand now. Happiness is not at the top of the ladder. It is found in how we climb.
Exactly. When you learn to climb with joy, to pause and appreciate each step, then whether you reach the top or not, you will already be happy. 2. Comparison and envy. Another great thief of happiness is comparison. The story of learning to walk in hand in. illustrates this well when people constantly look at others, wishing for their lives, they lose sight of their own path.
But isn't it natural to compare ourselves to others?
It is natural, but also dangerous. In today's world, people see the success of others and feel inadequate. But what they fail to realize is that they are only seeing a part of the picture. Imagine two men looking at each other. One is wealthy, but unhealthy. The other is poor, but has a loving family. Each envies the other, believing the other has something better. Yet neither realizes that they both have things to be grateful for.
Why is it that people always focus on what they lack instead of appreciating what they have?
Because the mind, like a restless monkey, constantly jumps from one desire to another. We are conditioned to see what is missing rather than what is present. This is why comparison is one of the greatest thieves of happiness. Let me tell you a story. The two merchants. There were once two merchants in a town. One was extremely wealthy, but suffered from chronic illness. His riches allowed him to buy anything he desired, except good health. He spent his days in expensive treatments, watching others enjoy the simple pleasures of life that he could no longer experience. The second merchant was poor, but full of life. He had a loving wife and children who greeted him joyfully every evening. Though his earnings were small, his home was filled with laughter and warmth. One day, the wealthy merchant saw the poor merchant playing joyfully with his children and sighed. How lucky he is! He may be poor, but his life is filled with love and happiness. At the same time, the poor merchant saw the wealthy man's grand house and fine clothes and thought, how lucky he is! He has everything money can buy, while I struggle to make ends meet. Both men went to bed that night feeling discontented, believing they were unfortunate compared to the other. But in truth, each had something valuable that the other lacked.
So they both had reasons to be grateful, but they couldn't see it?
Exactly. When we focus only on what others have that we don't, we become blind to the blessings in our own lives. A wealthy man longed for love and health, while the poor man longed for wealth. Yet neither realized that happiness was already within their reach. If only they had looked at their own lives with gratitude.
But it's so easy to compare ourselves to others. In today's world, we see people on social media with perfect lives, beautiful vacations, and endless success. How can we avoid feeling inadequate?
The problem with comparison is that it is based on illusion. You see the highlights of someone's life, not their struggles. Just as a mountain appears majestic, from afar it reveals rough and treacherous paths when climbed, so too do the lives of others seem perfect until you truly understand them. Think of a traveler in the desert who sees an oasis in the distance. As he walks closer, he realizes it was only a mirage. Comparison works the same way. What looks perfect from afar is often just an illusion.
So the more we compare, the more we chase an illusion.
Precisely. It is said, a blade of grass looks greener on the other side, until you stand there and see it up close. Comparison is endless. A person with a small house envies a person with a bigger one. A person with a big house envies someone with a mansion. The one with a mansion envies the one who lives a simple, carefree life. It never stops.
Then how do we escape this endless cycle?
The first step is to recognize that happiness does not come from having more than others. It comes from appreciating what you already have. A second step is to practice gratitude. Every day, take a moment to reflect on what you are thankful for. When you focus on your blessings, the desire to compare fades away. Lastly, remember that every life has its struggles. Just because you do not see someone's pain does not mean it does not exist. Instead of looking at what others have, look at how you can make the best of your own journey.
So instead of asking, why don't I have what they have? I should ask, what do I already have that brings me joy?
Now you are beginning to understand. True happiness is not found by looking outward, but by looking within. 3. Fear and anxiety about the future. Many people live in fear. Fear of losing what they have. Fear of failure. Fear of judgment. This anxiety prevents them from experiencing true happiness.
But isn't fear natural? Isn't it what keeps us cautious and prepared for challenges?
Fear itself is not the problem. It is when fear controls you that it becomes dangerous. There is a difference between preparing for the future and living in constant anxiety about it. Imagine a man crossing a river. He carefully watches his steps, ensuring he does not slip on the rocks. That is wisdom. But if he hesitates at every step, fearing he will drown, he may never cross at all. That is paralysis. Fear should be a guide, not a prison.
But how can we free ourselves from this fear?
By accepting the impermanence of life. Everything changes. Seasons change, people change, fortunes rise and fall. Clinging to the illusion that we can control everything leads to suffering. Laozi once said, "Those who flow with life live with ease." Instead of resisting change, embrace it. Learn to let go of things not meant for you, and you will find peace.
But why do we fear the future so much?
Because we crave certainty, yet life is uncertain. The mind constantly asks, what if I fail? What if I lose everything? What if things don't go as planned? But tell me, has worrying ever changed the outcome of tomorrow?
No, it hasn't. But it feels like I'm preparing for the worst.
There is a difference between preparation and fear. Preparation allows you to take action and adapt, while fear traps you in endless thoughts of, what if? The river of time always moves forward, no matter how much you fear drowning. It will not stop flowing. Let me tell you a story. A poor farmer lived in a small village. One day, his only horse ran away. The villagers said, "What bad luck." The farmer simply replied, "Good luck, bad luck, who can say?" A few days later, the horse returned, bringing with it a group of wild horses. The villagers said, "What great fortune." The farmer again replied, "Good luck, bad luck, who can say?" The farmer's son, eager to tame the wild horse, tried to ride it, but the horse threw him off, and the boy broke his leg. The villagers shook their heads in sympathy. "Such terrible luck," they said. Once more, the farmer remained calm. "Good luck, bad luck, who can say?" Weeks later, the emperor's army arrived in the village to recruit young men for war. Because of his broken leg, the farmer's son was spared. The villagers now said, "What a blessing."
So what seems bad today might actually be good tomorrow.
Exactly. Worrying about the future is like judging a book by its cover before reading the whole story. What you fear today may turn out to be a blessing in disguise. Instead of trying to control every outcome, trust that life will unfold as it should.
I understand how to let go of my fear of uncertainty, but what about the fear of judgment? What others think of us can impact our lives.
Tell me, if you saw a man carrying a heavy sack of stones on his back, struggling to walk, what would you say?
I would tell them to put it down.
Then why do you carry the burden of other people's opinions? No matter what you do, someone will always have something to say. A wise man once said, "If you live for the approval of others, you will die from their rejection." Let me share another story. A father, son, and the donkey. A father and son were walking to town with their donkey. Along the way, a passerby said, "Fools! Why walk when you have a donkey to ride?" The father lifted his son onto the donkey. A little further, someone else said, "What a selfish boy! He rides while his old father walks." So the son got off, and the father rode instead. Soon another person remarked, "How cruel! A strong man riding while the child walks." So they both climbed onto the donkey. And someone else exclaimed, "Poor donkey! Two people riding it. How inhumane!" Feeling ashamed, the father and son decided to carry the donkey themselves. But as they crossed a bridge, the donkey struggled, fell into the river, and drowned. In trying to please everyone, they lost everything.
So no matter what we do, people will always have opinions?
Yes, and their opinions change like the wind. If you let them dictate your actions, you will never find peace. Instead of seeking approval, seek inner truth.
What about the fear of failure? Sometimes I hesitate to take risks because I'm afraid I will fail.
Failure is only failure if you stop. Imagine a child learning to walk. He falls countless times, but each fall teaches him balance. If he feared falling, he would never learn to stand. Thomas Edison once said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that don't work." Failure is simply a lesson in disguise.
But what if failure ruins my life?
Let me ask you, what is worse? Trying and failing, or never trying and always wondering what if?
I suppose never trying would leave me with regret.
Exactly. Failure is temporary. Regret lasts a lifetime.
So the key to overcoming fear is to accept that life is uncertain, that failure is a teacher, and that other people's opinions don't define me.
Yes, instead of fearing the unknown, embrace it as an adventure. Instead of fearing judgment, live true to yourself. Instead of fearing failure, see it as a step toward growth.
And instead of trying to control everything, I should let go and trust that life will unfold as it should.
Now you are truly beginning to understand. When you stop resisting the flow of life, you will find that fear loses its grip on you, and happiness naturally arises.
I feel lighter already. From now on, I will walk forward without fear, trusting the journey ahead.
Then you have already begun to live with true wisdom. 4. Attachment to the past and regret.
Many people are trapped in their past, dwelling on mistakes, missed opportunities, and what could have been. I have often felt this way myself, thinking about things I should have done differently.
But can you change the past?
No, I cannot.
Then why suffer over something unchangeable? The past is a teacher, not a prison. Learn from it, but do not let it define your happiness. There is a Chinese saying, "Yesterday's history. Tomorrow is a mystery. But today is a gift. That's why it's called the present."
But why is it so hard to let go? Sometimes the past feels like a weight I cannot shake off.
Because the mind clings to regret, like a vine wrapping around a tree. It grows tighter over time, making it harder to break free. Have you heard the story of the two monks?
No, please tell me.
The story of the two monks. Two monks were traveling together and came across a river where they saw a young woman struggling to cross. The elder monk lifted her onto his back, carried her across, and gently set her down. The younger monk, shocked, remained silent as they continued walking. Hours passed, and finally, the younger monk burst out, "How could you carry that woman? We are monks. We are not supposed to touch women." The elder monk simply smiled and said, "I set her down hours ago, but you are still carrying her."
So the younger monk was holding on to something long after it was over?
Exactly. Many people do this with their past. They carry burdens long after they should have been left behind. Regret is like a heavy stone. If you refuse to drop it, you will tire yourself out.
But sometimes I wonder, what if I had made different choices? Would my life have been better?
Tell me, if you stand at a fork in the road and choose one path, can you ever know where the other would have led?
No, I cannot.
Then why torture yourself over a road you never traveled? Life is not meant to be lived in reverse. There is a saying, the door that closed behind you was never meant to lead you forward. Every choice, every mistake, every missed opportunity has led you to this moment. Regret changes nothing. Action in the present changes everything.
So instead of asking, what if, I should ask, what now?
Exactly. Let me share another story with you. A water bearer carried two large pots, one on each side of a pole across his shoulders. One pot was perfect, while the other had a crack. By the time he reached home each day, the cracked pot had leaked half its water. One day, the cracked pot said, "I am so ashamed. I failed to do my job properly. You should replace me with a new pot." The water bearer smiled and replied, "Look at the path behind you." The pot turned and saw beautiful flowers blooming along the side of the road, where the water had dripped. "I knew of your flaw," the water bearer continued, "so I planted seeds along the path, and every day you watered them. Because of your imperfection, the road is full of beauty."
So even our mistakes can lead to something beautiful?
Yes, every regret, every past failure can be turned into wisdom, growth, and purpose if we choose to learn from it instead of dwelling on it.
But how do I truly let go?
There are 3 steps. 1. Accept that the past cannot be changed. What is done is done. Fighting against reality only prolongs suffering. 2. Find the lesson in your mistakes instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" Ask, "What can I learn from this?" 3. Take action in the present. The best way to heal the past is to live fully in the now.
So instead of looking back with regret, I should look forward with wisdom?
And when you do, you will find that the weight of the past no longer holds you down. It becomes the foundation upon which you build a better future.
Then from today on, I will no longer carry yesterday's burdens.
Then you are truly free.
I understand now. If I keep chasing, comparing, fearing, and regretting, I will never be happy. So what is the true source of happiness?
True happiness lies in detachment brings clarity. Tranquility leads to fulfillment. As Zhuangzi once said, "The highest joy is to be without joy," meaning the greatest form of joy is one that does not depend on external things, but rather comes from a serene heart. Take Zheng Gofeng as an example. Throughout his life, he faced numerous hardships, yet he always maintained inner peace. He viewed the ups and downs of life as part of nature's rhythm, and in the end, he became a great statesman. His happiness did not stem from power, but from his inner cultivation.
Then how can one cultivate this kind of inner happiness?
You can start with 3 key principles. 1. Contentment brings joy. Like Tao Yuanming, who wrote, "Plucking chrysanthemums by the eastern fence, I leisurely gaze at the southern mountains." He was not bound by fame and fortune, but enjoyed life for what it was. Practice gratitude daily. Focus on what you already have instead of what you lack. 2. Self-cultivation. Confucius said, "A noble person seeks within, while a petty person seeks from others." True happiness comes from self-improvement rather than external validation. Spend time learning, growing, and building character. The more you improve yourself, the less dependent you become on external things for happiness. 3. Doing good and accumulating virtue. Mencius said, "Those who love others will be loved in return." When you extend kindness to others, happiness will also come back to you. Many people think happiness comes from getting, but it often comes from giving. Help others, be kind, and you will find fulfillment. Final reflections.
Listening to your words is like seeing the clouds part to reveal the bright sky. I now understand that happiness is not something distant, but something that exists within us.
As the ancient wisdom goes, adapt to circumstances and find peace within. Happiness is never something to be chased. It comes from cherishing the present moment, following the natural flow of life, and truly living in the here and now.
From this day forward, I will stop chasing illusions and start nurturing true happiness from within.
Then you are already on the path to a truly joyful life. In the end, happiness is not something we chase, it's something we cultivate. It's found in the simple moments, in gratitude, in meaningful connections, and in living with purpose. True happiness isn't about having more. It's about appreciating what we already have. As we embrace life with an open heart and a balanced mind, we realize that happiness isn't a destination, it's the way we walk the path. May we all find joy in the journey